We certainly do miss the NBA. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the coronavirus pandemic, and the NBA has suspended this season. Our next guest, like hundreds of players around the NBA, can't wait to get back on the court. He is a two-time champion Lakers guard, Danny Green, kind enough to join us. And I love that shirt. You are so right, because we are all in this together. Danny, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Good to see you, Danny.
Yeah.
Same.
Good to see
Danny,
you.
I want to start with this unprecedented crisis and its impact on basketball specifically. Obviously, two of your teammates have tested positive on the Lakers for COVID-19. What has this hiatus, this past 2 weeks, been like for you and your brothers, your teammates?
It's been very different. Figuring out different ways to occupy our time. A culture shock. A lot of boredom. But interesting and good time to spend with our families. Hold our loved ones close, and actually enjoy being home for a while. But I think guys are getting antsy and want to get back out on the court as soon as possible.
Danny, appreciate you being here, man. I want to know what level of communication, if any at all, that you guys have been able to have with one another. Are guys just communicating, on Skype or FaceTime? Are guys taking risk in terms of seeing one another face to face, practicing social distancing, but still seeing each other? What kind of contact have y'all had with each other since the pandemic obviously came about?
We haven't had any physical contact since the Brooklyn Nets news broke. We had been tested that morning. The next morning, we all stayed in our cars and then we went home. From there, we haven't really talked. We talked via text. We have a group chat we talk in. We've had a couple FaceTimes. I had my Inside the Green Room podcast where I had some of the guys on as a guest. But outside of that, mostly just text, no physical contact.
Danny, thanks for coming on, of course. I'm sure that players get news about what kind of financial impact this has on them. And this is not like people waiting tables and doing construction and, working people who have to worry about the paycheck to pay the rent, to keep food on the table and the lights on and stuff like that. Still, everyone's worried about the financial impact that the pandemic has had on them. What has been communicated to you that you could repeat in terms of benchmarks that will start to hurt the player's bottom line? Local TV money? Do you have to finish the season? Do you have to play a certain number of games? Do you have to play, the playoffs? All those kind of things. What's been communicated to the players?
We're not promised a check past the first of this month, I believe. So this is something that is very different than the lockout. We were able to prepare for the lockout and know that there was going to be no basketball for some time and save up. This time, guys were not prepared for this. This happened out of nowhere. So they got to be smart with these last two checks that we received. We may be getting past that. We don't know yet. If we don't play the rest of the season, it will affect our check and playoffs as well. So we don't know. Everything is kind of on hold. So we have to be very smart with our money and plan that this might be some time before we play again.
Danny, I want to ask you this specifically because according to Vegas, the Lakers were the favorites to win it all. So it's really a unique situation for you guys, and you're truly a special team. How concerned are you that your season could potentially be over and you won't get a chance to fight for that championship?
Very concerned. I don't think it'll be over, but the postpone can affect in a good and in a bad way, especially if it takes a long time to get back. The chemistry that we built on and off the court, obviously off the court is still there, but on the court, it's hard to keep that rolling or keep that going back in the same direction. So we can hope that this thing goes away as soon as possible and we get back to playing, hopefully as early as we can, not mid to late June. But if we get back sooner, the better for us. Hopefully guys will be well rested at that point and hopefully still in good shape.
Danny, two-part question here. A, where did you guys feel that you were once all of this happened? Meaning that did you guys feel that, you were the favorites and you deserved to be the favorites to win it all? And number two, and more importantly, anytime you think about the Lakers, you think about LeBron James and you think about his leadership. And obviously, LeBron James is the kind of person that he's preparing every day to be back. So when the bell rings and it's time to return, he's going to be ready. I'd like to know what kind of things, what kind of words of wisdom he's imparted on you guys.
We felt we were pretty close to where we wanted to be. Still not at our full potential, but probably about 80 to 85. We had a great weekend before we played Brooklyn, where they played a tough game and they beat us in a close one. But we had a good stretch before this all happened, and we were rolling in the right direction. And so we feel like we were at like 80, 85% of where we wanted to be. And so obviously, Bron has been taking the steps he felt was necessary to put us in that direction, and himself. Obviously, him and AD pushing each other, working together. But they had gotten us to a point where we were in a good position before playoffs started coming around.
Danny, since we're talking basketball, we haven't had a chance to talk to you since you've been on the Lakers, and I haven't had a chance to ask you this question. You won titles with Kawhi in San Antonio and in Toronto. Now you're playing with LeBron James. They're different kinds of players. What's the difference in playing with both those guys?
Two very great players, man. A lot of similarities and some differences, but they're extremely serious about their game, their work of their body of art, how they take care of their bodies, and lead their team. Obviously, Kawhi is not as vocal as Bron has been over the years, but you could tell last year he started picking it up a lot more, and this year he's a lot more vocal than he was ever, and he's starting to learn that. But on the court wise, Bron is probably more of a facilitator. Kawhi is probably more of a attack, offensive, dissecting the defensive type of player. Say Bron is the same way, and they're both very good defenders when they turn it on. They can lock down some guys. They can change the game and impact the game on both ends of the floor.
Danny, we'd all love to see an LA on LA Western Conference Finals, and hopefully everything resumes. Tell me this, how obviously you were his teammate and now you would be going up against him. How do you stop Kawhi Leonard?
With all great players, you can just hope to limit them as best you can. There's a reason why they still score at a high clip and efficiently, even though you know what they're going to do. You just try your best to limit that, contest it, and hopefully they miss and have an off night. But Kawhi is a great player, and you know what he's going to do, just like other great players and other All-Stars. You try to limit that, but at the same time, he's going to get to his spots, and you're probably not going to stop it. You can probably contain it, though.
But we also know motivated LeBron James is something to mess with, too. And you've certainly been vocal about that as well, that's equally as tough to stop. Danny,